Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Today we're gonna be listening to a story that I wrote a long time ago and just decided to do something different than my usual upload. So yeah, for this month we're gonna have a story. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alone in the woods, a girl woke upon the ground. The girl sat up slowly and looked around to find an unfamiliar setting. Dead trees and plants were all that seemed to inhabit the area around. Not an ant, nor a bird, not a single soul to be found. She then took a moment to gather her strength and began to lift herself off the ground. Upon doing so, she caught sight of something white and unworldly. It was so pale that it almost seemed to glow in the sunlight that pierced through what was left of the trees. Upon further inspection, the girl found that the thing that had seemed so weird and supernatural was something that she, or anyone else, should have recognized in an instant. That thing was her own skin. The girl looked at her hands with confusion and began to realize not only did she not know where she was, but she had not a clue to who she was either. The pale skin of her body, the black dress with white collar, even her long, white hair that matched her ghostly skin, was all unfamiliar to her. This revelation came suddenly, but the girl did not seem alarmed or scared. Instead, the girl once more began to rise to her feet. She looked around at her surroundings once more, chose a direction, and began to walk. At first, the scenery was the same as before, but moments later, her surroundings began to change. Different hues of green started to fill her view. Explosions of colors decorated the ground, and sweet melodies of chirps rained from above. Pretty, a voice spoke, and the girl looked around for the source, but soon realized the origin of the sound was from none other than herself. Just as she could not identify her own skin or clothes, her voice was unknown to her as well. This thought, however, was interrupted by a new sound in the distance. The girl followed the sound to a break in the trees. There she saw the land that she walked on had ended, and something new had started. It was translucent and seemed to move in one direction, and the sound that she had heard on the way there grew louder as she approached it. She knelt down and looked at it. What she saw, however, was not what she expected. As she gazed into the new thing, she saw something gaze back. It had pale skin, long messy white hair, and two enchanting pink gem-like eyes. The girl reached out a hand to embrace the beautiful stranger, but just as her hand made contact, she disappeared. This, however, left the girl with her hand inside the new thing. It was surprising to her. It wrapped around her hand and flowed through her fingers. The sensation was new and strange, but far from unpleasant. The girl reached her other hand into it and began to splash about, relishing with each drop that touched her delicate skin. This moment was interrupted by a new sound. A sound that, while new and strange, was far from being pleasant. The new sound was piercing and erratic, nothing like the melodical trickle of the thing she had just discovered. She looked around to find the origin of the sound and followed it to yet another new object. It was different from what she had seen before. It had 4 tall sides and some with holes in it, one of which she was able to wander into. The inside of the object was filled with many items that she had never seen, and in one of the chambers of the object, she found the source of the sound. It was something that she had seen before. It was a woman, like herself, but different. The woman's skin was not as pale as her own, and had many folds and flaws. She was covered with the clear thing from before. However, this time, it seemed different. She was still making the noise, but now it seemed much weaker. The girl could not see the woman's eyes, for they were closed. However, what the girl did see above the woman's head perplexed her. Above the woman's head was the numbers 1080. Then a few moments later it changed. 1079 were now the numbers
We had a lot of
above the
fun picking
woman's
out the
head.
music for this.
It was around 1075 when the noise from the woman started to grow once more. The sound was dreadful to hear as the girl watched in horror as the woman started to convulse. Pain. The voice that she now knew as her own trembled as tears began to form from her eyes. Then, as if guided by instinct, the girl stepped towards her and placed her hand on the shaking woman. In that instant, the numbers started to decrease rapidly. 1,000, 900, 800. They just kept falling until they stopped at 0. The shaking was no more. The awful noise was no more. The woman was no more.
Thank you for the like.
Seconds later, a stranger entered the chamber and was immediately sent into a state of panic from what he was observing. Confused and afraid, the stranger frantically ran away, screaming witch. Dazed by what had just occurred, the girl looked back to the woman, but did not see the same woman she did before. Her skin, now dried and filled with holes, her hair began to shed and wither into dust. The sight was too gruesome to watch, and the girl hid her eyes. Moments later, the girl looked back to the place the woman was before, but there was no woman, no rotting corpse, only dust. The realization of what had just happened, and the fact that she was responsible for it, hit her all at once. The rush of emotions filled her head with fear and anger, and caused her to rush out of the confined space, back outside where she collapsed.
Words are hard.
Not being able to hold back any longer, she began to cry loudly. As she lay on the ground, the grass and plants around her began to change into a sickly black. Blight. She whispered through the tears as she watched the infection spread. From that day on, that girl would refer to herself as Blight.
I love the timing on that.
Years go by, and the grass had recovered its original color. Blight had been living in that house that horrid event had occurred many years ago. Since then, Blight had grown into a beautiful adult. She had learned many things, some from books left in the house, others through experiences. She had since then learned to control herself so nothing would decay around her, so nothing would have to die because of her. She still killed when she had to, of course, whether it be a wild bear or a brave fool who set out to claim the head of the beautiful witch, all seemed the same in her eyes. Anything that wanted to harm her was looking for an early end. However, Blight also had another side to her, the side that saw beauty all around her. She loved to garden and sat dazed at the myriad of butterflies fluttering around her flowers. And that was what she was doing when she met her. Staring intensely into the intricate patterns of a monarch's wings, getting lost in each flutter, each flap, Blight began to fade away into daydream. Pretty. A voice pierced through Blight's thoughts and immediately snapped her back to reality. She looked beyond the butterfly to see a young girl with dark green eyes staring at her as she stood there. "What business do you have here?" Blight demanded, staring daggers at the girl. "Business?" The girl stood perplexed. She looked no older than 12, long black hair, light blue dress with ruffles. But what really stood out was the paleness of her skin. It was not as pure as Blight's skin, but it was lighter than any one she has seen before. "Why are you here?" Blight asked again, no less forceful than before. "I've come to see the forest," replied the girl, not backing down. "Mother never let me see it, because she said it was too dangerous and I was too weak." "Oh, is that right?" Blight retorted. "And what exactly is so dangerous about this forest?" "Well, there are bears, wolves, snakes," the girl rambled. "And worst of all, there's the beautiful witch." "Beautiful witch? Never heard of her," Blight nonchalantly remarked. "Please, do tell me more about her." "Well, Mother says that in this forest there's a woman whose beauty is unlike any others in this world. They say that she lures her victims in with her looks, and when they wander too close, grabs them and sucks the life out of them, leaving nothing behind." Blight burst out into laughter. "What a dumb story. You're not serious, are you?" "I'm serious," the girl exclaimed, now puffing out her cheeks. "You're in the most danger living out this deep in the woods." "What if I were to tell you?" Blight paused for a moment, shifting to a more serious mood. "That I was the beautiful witch."
Bum, bum, bum.
The girl paused for a moment, then replied with a smile. "Then I'd say not all stories are true." The response was not the one Blight had expected, but she quickly gathered herself and replied, "You're a weird one, you know that?" The girl
I'm doing good,
smiled.
Ikram. Thank you.
"I'm Tayo,"
How are
she
you?
exclaimed. "Blight," to which she responded. "I gotta go, but I'll be back tomorrow, and we can play more then," Tayo said as she waved and ran back into the woods. Blight waved back. However, in the back of her mind, she never expected the girl to return. Contrary to belief, Tayo showed up the next day, and would do so for several months. They spent hours at a time together. Tayo would bring new things to show Blight, and Blight would bring Tayo to all the beautiful places in the forest. They shared secrets, like how Blight didn't like her name, or how Tayo didn't like her mother. They would tell each other stories they knew, and braided each other's hair. It was the best moments of
pretty
both
tight.
their lives. They always woke up
Happy
eager to go
Independence
on
Day.
an adventure in the morning, and when they said farewell in the afternoon, dreams of tomorrow filled their heads and brought smiles to their faces. Their friendship was a beautiful thing that they both cherished deeply. However, this could not last forever. After all, beauty fades. That is why it is beautiful. One day, the rain came down hard. Tayo didn't come by like she usually did. Blight first thought that she might have just stayed home due to the bad weather, but she knew that Tayo's stubborn nature wouldn't allow her to do that. So she set out into the woods to look for her. She didn't have to go far to find her. Under a broken tree branch lay the unconscious frail girl that she had called friend.
Look like MLP
Much
style.
to her dismay, Blight saw them once more. The
Fair enough,
numbers.
fair enough.
She quickly grabbed the girl and rushed back to her house and dried her off and laid her on the bed. Tayo was burning up and breathing hard. Her unusual pale skin was now tinted red, and she was sweating badly. Blight knew from old books that she had read that she needed to cool her off, so she rummaged through all the drawers to find a cloth, soak it in rainwater, and place it on her forehead. The numbers went up a few digits, but continued to fall. This action seemed to bring Tayo back into consciousness, for however slow, her dark emerald eyes began to open. Blight? The small girl spoke. Yes, I'm here, Blight said, holding back tears. Why is it so hot? Tayo asked between heavy breaths. It's just a hot day, Blight answered. You should get some rest. We'll go visit your favorite spot tomorrow and... Blight? Tayo interrupted. I'm dying, aren't I? Blight couldn't form words to tell her, but her face said it all. The tears streaming down her face, the look of helplessness. There was no mistake. Tayo's guess was right on the mark. Tayo smiled and said, Thought so. She looked straight into Blight's eyes and spoke. There's something I need to tell you. The day when I met you, I set into the woods not to see the woods. I went into the woods to die. I grew tired of living a life of being told I couldn't live my life because of my illness. I decided that I would go into the woods and find the beautiful witch and be killed. But then I met you, and you showed me all the wonders and beauty of this world. And for the first time, I had fun. For the first time, I had a friend. Thank you, for however short it was. You made my life worth the living. With tears rushing down both their faces, Tayo made a request. I know it may be painful for you, but there's no other way I'd rather go than in the arms of my dearest friend. Blight silently nodded and took Tayo into her arms. At the same time, the numbers began to go down faster. Wrapped tightly in Blight's arms, Tayo spoke. You once told me that you didn't like your name, and you wish you had a name like mine. How about Suki? It means moon. Tayo means sun. We'll be like the sun and the moon. Even though we're apart right now, one day we'll be together. What do you think? Pretty corny, I know, but it's the best I could think. Time's up. With that, she faded away. Her beautiful dark eyes dazzled no longer, yet the smile on her face remained. Blight looked upon the beautiful child, now nothing more than a lifeless doll, and whispered, I love it. I think it's the most beautiful name I've ever heard. She then laid the child upon the bed and closed her eyes, for she knew what happened next and could not bear to watch. Moments go by, and she opened her swollen, tear-filled eyes once more. True to her name, she had disappeared into the night without a trace, leaving a lone, pale, beautiful moon by herself to cry. Many years pass, and the woman now known as Suki has gotten married, had kids, even grandkids. She has grown old, lost her husband, and now lives alone in that same old house in the woods. She still gardens and gets mesmerized by the spectrum of butterflies that inhabit her garden. Once in a while, she'll head back to the river where she splashed about many years ago. She still looks at the beautiful figure that stares back at her. She reads the numbers above its head each time she goes. And each time she just smiles and whispers, "Looks like we'll play again soon."
And that's the story. Yep. So that's gonna be this month's upload. Yes, I wanted to try something different than I normally did, and that's that. That being said, while making that, I had all my fans on because it is extremely hot here and the AC didn't work. So I could hear it a little bit in the background, but you know, we did our best. But like I said, today's gonna be an extremely short one today. That's all I really had planned. I just wanted to be here when everyone got to hear it for the first time. And yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, because I had fun writing it. And hopefully if it gets enough attention, then I'll write some more stories. But that being said, yeah. You know, I hope you had a good Independence Day, and you should get some rest. It's like old northern myth with the god, goddess, and son / couple each meeting each other, always chasing your partner. Yeah, pretty much. I really enjoy those old stories and stuff like that. So I remember those from a kid when I was a kid, and so I don't want to say I wanted to write my own, but I wanted to write something about it. Yeah. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So I'm gonna get some sleep now. You guys should get some sleep now, especially you, Ikram. Thank you. It is almost, I want to say 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock where you are in the morning, so you should get some sleep. I'm gonna do the same thing, and hopefully I'll see you guys. What is the next thing I'm doing for YouTube? I think it's Thursday is the next time I see you guys on YouTube. But yeah, I'll be also doing stuff this weekend, because next week I am not going to be doing much because I have work related things throughout the entire week, so I'm gonna be away from my computer. It really sucks, but yeah, that's that. It's 1 a.m. RIP. Still, you should get some sleep. I appreciate you coming out for however short it was. And until then, I'll see you guys next time, alright? Bye.
I hate you, no, don't say that. Without you here with me, I'm nothing but a damn rat. Yeah, I feel the same, I'm the one who is to blame. Your words are gospel as soon as they leave your lips. I hate you, no, don't say that. You're always so foolish, what do you think you're getting at? I just can't seem to do right in my own skin. At this point is where you always close in. Please tell me why don't you know? Question asked is for sure. Always makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. Instead of saying something despite my every plea, you just pout about it only just as petty as can be. Top secret, I'll keep it all to me. I hate you, no, don't say that. Without you here with me, I'm nothing but a damn rat. Yeah, I feel the same, I'm the one who is to blame. Your words are gospel as soon as they leave your lips. So useless, a place I won't be missed, a bottomless abyss. I hate you, don't say that.